Certainly looking forward to being involved in the PSL. I haven't been here before, but it has been a tournament I've been really keen to be involved in and haven't been unavailable until now, so delighted to be part of Islamabad United. I guess the thing that's probably surprised me the most is the depth in domestic talent. You know, the emerging talent I think is exciting, and from both a seam bowling point of view and probably an aggressive batting perspective, there's plenty of depth around. So yeah, looking forward to working with the local players. Slightly smaller squad, which I think is easier to manage, but I think it's probably a little bit too early to see what the complete difference is. You know, there's obviously strengths in both competitions. I think the local seam bowling strength in the PSL is very high, probably more from a depth perspective. And it'll be interesting to see the surfaces. The surfaces over here are very flat, so clearly you've got to have some airspeed, otherwise you're going to find yourself in trouble, where potentially in the IPL, you know, more change-ups and different skills sort of come into the game. So those are the obvious differences so far. Yeah, everybody I spoke to before getting over here was very complimentary around the family environment and the environment around enjoying you know, each other's company, obviously playing a really positive style of cricket. And so I guess from my point of view, it was about coming here and just getting to meet the players, getting to, you know, talking to the support staff, finding out what was working well, what potentially needed a few tweaks. And that's probably what the last month's been about. And even the last 3 days in Pakistan, it's about meeting all of those players. The players are bubbly, they love playing for United. They certainly bring some humour and some energy to the group, which I love. So yeah, really looking forward to working with the whole squad. Well, I think it's about me being malleable in terms of adapting my style to suit the playing group. Obviously every coach has a specific, I guess, some non-negotiables that they like to bring to the table, but I think one of my strengths is that I'm quite flexible in terms of I can adapt my style to the group. And I think even within the group there are so many different individuals, and my job I think is to maximise talent. So if I'm able to try and create a working relationship with every player and try and find a way that works best for them, rather than the team being just about the coach, it's about how can we work together to achieve great things. And that's the job of a coach. So really looking forward to, as I said, getting to know the players and then finding out how I need to adapt my style to suit. Yeah, excited about Hesson Shah. You know, obviously we know about Naseem, and that was a great trade for us to get leading into the draft. But obviously the emerging talent is important. You know, you've got to play obviously an emerging player in every team. So we looked at how we wanted to structure our squad, how we were going to be able to have the least amount of impact and probably the least amount of disruption, but probably the biggest impact. And Hesson Shah's performing incredibly well in the national T20 competition. You know, brings an ability to bowl in different phases, and you know, he's got some pace. So looking forward to seeing how he operates. You know, outside of that, from a overseas perspective, Jordan Cox. Not a lot of people will know much about Jordan Cox, but the last 6 months he's been one of the most exciting talents around the world in the franchise scene. He's been part of the PSL before, but hasn't played much of a role. But he's somebody who we were really delighted to get. We think he's somebody that can come in and bat around our domestic talent, and on his day he can win a game by himself. So yeah, there's a couple of guys, but to be fair, there's plenty of players to choose from. Yeah, that wasn't the plan. Obviously Hesson was always our first pick. We had emerging one, so we were delighted to get Hesson. We know everybody was trying to get him because of the reasons I mentioned before. You know, Urbet, basically we thought he would go early because we had number 1 and number 12 pick. We also had some other targets which had got picked off earlier on in the emerging category. What we were keen to do, as I said, is to have least disruption. So we wanted 2 quality emerging players, emerging seamers, so they could fit into our lineup and we wouldn't have to change the team structure too much. So the fact we got towards the back end, and as we got closer and we saw that Ubed still wasn't picked up, we were thinking, oh, this is a possibility to get all three. There was a little bit of apprehension around the perception of that, but for me it was very much a cricketing decision. You know, who's the next best bowler to come in and add to our squad. And he's also got a very different action, so quite a different type of bowler than his brother Hanain. Quite a slingy action, so has the ability to swing the ball in, can reverse it. So yeah, that combination of seamers was important. The fact that we've now got three brothers is, you know, it is what it is. But you know, there's all likelihood that on many occasions two of them will be playing. Look, I don't think so. Look, I've been lucky enough to work with quite a few brothers around, even in international cricket with the McCullums and the Marshall brothers. You know, lots of times, you know, you've worked with two, but three will be different. And obviously different ages as well. So I guess you look at, you know, someone like Ubed, obviously much younger, you know, probably a little bit further off in terms of playing a major role for us, but certainly if we need him, we think he's good enough to play.